The ability to start healing a problem is as close as our everyday thoughts. It's all in how you choose to look at things. How can our views affect our attitudes? Find out next as we learn how changing your mind can change your life. The 21st century, the beginning of a new era. We stand at the threshold of a time filled with rapid change, uncertainty, and monumental possibilities. Visionaries have pointed to this time as a turning point for humanity. One such man was the American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce. From holistic healing to spiritual development, the world that Edgar Cayce predicted is now emerging, inviting us to explore the new millennium.
Within the human soul lives the power to heal and transform our lives. It's usually forgotten in the midst of a busy, demanding world that seems to pull us first one way, then another. That healing power comes from a unique human ability. We have the freedom and the skill to choose our attitudes and emotions, our point of view and feeling about any situation. I'm Mark Thurston. I'm joined today by Tom Baker, psychotherapist and counselor. Tom specializes in personal change from a spiritual point of view. Welcome to the program, Tom.
Thank you, Mark.
Healing is a word that is usually associated with the physical body. In what sense can we talk about healing attitudes and emotions?
Well, when the body heals, it returns to a state of natural harmony with the laws of nature. When attitudes heal, they return to a natural sense of how God views us. It's like we get to know ourselves the way God knows us always.
Now, is there a simple way of distinguishing between an attitude and an emotion?
Yes. An attitude is how we think about ourselves, how we explain ourselves and our lives to ourselves and often to others. An emotion is how we react to that attitude.
Well, one emotion that so many of us wrestle with from time to time is fear. Are there
Absolutely.
particular attitudes that seem to cultivate or bring fear on?
I think of them. I think of 5 of them. One is I'm helpless. That means there's nothing I can do to control my destiny. That often leads to depression and finally despair. Then I have only the past. That attitude gets worse as we get older, because then we have only our past, and then we go into death. I am a victim of the world. This is an attitude that pervades our life today often, that things are too complicated, things are overwhelming, can't do anything about it. Then life and people are dangerous. This is an attitude that causes us to be isolated. It's a world of car alarms, burglar alarms, and high fences. Then finally there's the attitude that I'm basically bad. This is a granddaddy of all fearful attitudes. We've all got it. It's somewhere deep in our hearts, the fear that something's wrong with us. All our spiritual masters have addressed this attitude. Jesus with forgiveness, Buddha with compassion, Muhammad with the sense of that the individual is a very good person.
That is quite a list, and if we look at daily life, there's so many factors that seem to push us in those directions. People come to counselors like you. Could you share an example of somebody who was successfully able to work with an attitude or emotion?
Yes. I had a man came to me, and his 2 main attitudes were that he was bad and that all he had was the past. When he challenged those attitudes and practiced new attitudes, one, that he was good and that he was a spiritual being, his life changed completely. He started committing himself to relationships, and so much of his anger started to float away. He's a hospice worker today.
Do you think he was surprised by what he was able to accomplish?
He was astonished. He said it. He said, I never knew that I thought these things about myself. He was keying on his feelings, but not on the attitudes behind them.
So he found kind of a key for unlocking that healing process in his mind.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about the resources that people have to draw upon to help affect a healing at a mental level.
Okay, the resources are old and new. The external resources that we think about are the wisdom traditions of world religions, Christianity, the Bible, Buddhism, the sutras, Taoism, what's that called? The I Ching, I think, yes. Jesus was one of the great attitudinal healers, and he healed through forgiveness and had amazing results physically. So the 4 Gospels is a wonderful resource. In a more modern sense, the Edgar Cayce readings and the Course in Miracles.
Now, all those are exterior wisdom traditions. What about internal resources for healing attitudes and emotions?
They're better. They're better. And they're accessible to all of us. We have deep within us an intuitive conviction that we're innocent, that we're eternal, and that we are absolutely good. Now, we have to turn in, we have to go into ourselves to hear those things. But we also have to speak to ourselves. One thing you can do, anybody can do it. They can say to themselves, intone this, I am good. I am basically good.
That's a great affirmation. Changing your attitudes involves shifting what you pay attention to in the world going on around you and in the inner world of your memories, emotions, and desires. Attitudes shape what stands out, what's important as you look at life.
Our attitudes shape our lives. We are who we are because of what we think. Unfortunately, this creative power of the mind is often expressed in limiting negative ways. Worry, frustration, resentment. They become the source of many of our problems and challenges. But attitudes, new, more positive ones, can be the starting point for solutions. The American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce was one of the first people of the modern era to propose a spiritual psychology. His teachings and advice to thousands of troubled people always emphasized that to change your life, you must first change your attitude. Change your perspective, and a new world of possibilities can open up. See the glass as half full instead of half empty. Our attitudes become our outlook on life, and there are always options for how to see a situation. Just as in one moment your point of view might see a picture of two dark faces, by shifting your attention about what stands out, you could instead see a white goblet. A new attitude is simply a new way of looking at things, leaving room for your mind to be appreciative, or hopeful, or optimistic. In Cayce's spiritual psychology, the human mind is the builder and creator of our personal experiences. Unfortunately, that creative power is usually squandered as we let fear, doubt, and guilt shape how we feel about ourselves and other people. But the way to unlock mental healing is not as simple as suppressing every negative state of mind. Our anger especially needs to be understood and creatively directed. As Cayce put it, a person who doesn't have the ability to get angry isn't worth much, but the person who can't control his anger is worth even less. That ability to control and direct our attitudes and emotions depends upon having a central value for one's life, what Cayce's spiritual psychology called an ideal. Having a core value is the starting point for transforming a limiting attitude into a new frame of mind.